You're drifting off when your body suddenly jolts like you're falling. What has flipped that switch? This strange snap awake has a name, a pattern, and a surprisingly sensible backstory. It happens right at the border of sleep. You relax, then bam, one sharp twitch and you're awake. It can be louder after a long day, late caffeine, or an awkward slump, yet it's usually normal. That snap is called a hypnic jerk or sleep start, a brief, involuntary muscle contraction. It shows up during the transition into sleep, not deep in the night, and it ends almost as it begins. Episodes are extremely short, often under a second, and may come with a quick falling sensation. Some people also notice a tiny flash, a sound blip, or a breath catch as the body resets. Hypnic jerks are common and considered a normal variant of sleep, not a disease. They can be startling or annoying, but by themselves they aren't dangerous or a sign of damage. As you cross into sleep, muscle tone naturally drops while awareness fades at a slightly different pace. That mismatch at the edge of sleep is where the hypnic jerk tends to strike. Right as sleep begins, your brain dials down baseline muscle tone, including the muscles that usually hold you up. That normal slackening can arrive quickly, making your body feel suddenly looser than your fading awareness expects. Different systems change state on slightly different clocks. Motor output eases off while sensory channels still report status. That tiny timing gap sets the stage for a reflex to treat slack-like motion that needs correcting. We all carry a rapid startle pathway in the brainstem, built to trigger protective bursts when a threat seems sudden. At sleep onset, that circuitry can occasionally fire as awareness drops, producing a single, sharp contraction. One leading idea: the brain misreads rapid relaxation as falling, so it sends a brief catch command to stabilize. It's an elegant error correction, startling, but sensible, and it ends almost immediately once feedback says you're steady. Because it's a protective burst, it usually happens once at the border, then quiets as sleep deepens. If movements keep repeating after you're asleep, that's a different pattern and worth discussing with a clinician. So the hypnic jerk lives where wake drifts into sleep. Tone drops, senses lag, and a quick correction may fire. Understand that border, and the jolt becomes less mysterious, a normal reflex doing quality control during handoff. Body position sensing can still report support, while postural muscles slacken more than your internal model expects. That brief disagreement may trigger a corrective burst to reassert stability, even without any real external movement. Fresh contact cues from joints and mattress confirm you are stable, so the correction winds down fast. With confirmation in place, motor output settles, and you either slip onward into sleep or stay briefly awake. A startle-like correction can briefly raise arousal above the sleep threshold, which explains popping awake. As the surge fades, the system drifts back toward drowsiness, unless worry keeps you alert. Some experience a momentary flicker of light or a quick snap of sound with the jerk. Short sensory echoes are reported. These add-ons are brief and harmless, matching how abruptly the event begins and ends. Posture matters. Nodding in a chair or slumping at odd angles can make the tone drop feel more abrupt. When support muscles release unevenly, the system is more likely to issue one stabilizing burst. Put together, quick tone drop, slight timing gap, a startle-like correction, then confirmation and calm. This blueprint explains the jolt cleanly and sets up how it feels and how it differs from other movements. That sudden drop feeling is perception, not a plunge. Your brain interprets slack as motion. Near sleep, small changes feel huge because contrast spikes. Drowsy calm suddenly meets a corrective burst. Many people notice a tiny image or sound fragment with the jolt, brief pre-sleep imagery, not a full dream. It arises in the transition zone, then stops as feedback confirms you're still and the surge fades. Contrast that with periodic limb movements, repetitive leg or foot movements during sleep, continuing without a full wake. Hypnic jerks cluster at sleep onset as single bursts. Periodic patterns later in the night belong to another category. Other nighttime motor events exist, from isolated twitches to broader myoclonus, but those aren't the quick border jolt. Here, timing defines the phenomenon. At the edge, brief, and resolved by immediate confirmation of stability. A bang at midnight can startle you awake too, but that's a response to an external cue, not sleep onset. The border jolt doesn't need a sound. It's triggered by internal changes as you transition. So, sensations vary, but the signature remains. One brief contraction at the threshold with a sometimes falling feel. Now that we can spot it, the next question is simple. What makes a night more likely to spark one? Sometimes you'll get a small flurry at the threshold, several quick jolts as you're first drifting off. They remain onset limited and typically fade once stability feedback settles the system. Your odds aren't fixed. They shift with stress, sleep debt, stimulants like caffeine or nicotine, and late hard workouts. Each one nudges arousal or timing, so the border becomes a friendlier place for a single correction burst. Stress keeps baseline alertness high, so startle-like pathways are more reactive right as tone drops. Racing thoughts also stretch the transition, leaving a longer window where a brief correction can fire. After too little sleep, you can tip into sleep quickly while awareness lingers a beat behind. Exhaustion also invites nod-off postures that make the tone drop feel steeper, prime territory for one jolt. Late caffeine or nicotine keeps neurons more excitable, so tiny mismatches are more likely to trigger a burst. Stimulants can also skew timing, letting muscle relaxation and awareness slip out of sync at the border. Late vigorous exercise leaves the system revved, so arousal decays slowly as you lie down. With muscles relaxing against that higher alertness, the border is more likely to cough up one jolt. Stack two or more factors, and the threshold gets jumpier. More chances for a quick correction to fire. None of these guarantees a jolt, but together they nudge the system toward a touchier handoff. When arousal razors linger into evening, more of that alertness is still around at lights out. Start. A clinician can separate these patterns and advise next steps if needed. If you're getting hurt, losing significant sleep, or worried by other symptoms, seek professional guidance. Evaluation rules out lookalikes and centers the conversation on safety and sleep quality. For most people, steady routines help. Less late caffeine or nicotine, earlier vigorous workouts, manageable stress. Set up comfort, supportive posture, dim light, and a calm wind down make the border feel quieter. A simple wind down helps the border feel quieter. Predictable routine, low light, and a comfortable, supported position. Lower arousal going in means fewer timing mismatches, so the catch reflex is less to react to. There's a memorable hypothesis. Ancestors sleeping in trees favored a quick grab reflex when relaxation felt like falling. It's a compelling story, but evidence is limited. Treat it as speculation beside the brainstem startle explanation. Keep the mechanism in front. Tone drops, brief desynchrony appears, and a startle-like burst stabilizes posture. Remember this tonight. Lower arousal, steadier posture, smoother handoff, fewer jolts. One line. That snap awake is a brief, normal correction at sleep's edge when muscles relax fast. If this helped, share your best wind down trick below and subscribe for more curious body puzzles.